Pearl, you mentioned to the whole group that you were having this meeting with your children and all of that stuff, and you never really updated the group. Um, would you like to give a short update?
Definitely.
Okay, cool.
So we planned on having the meeting on the Sunday. The boy said, and I'm doing a summary of it, uh, because we didn't speak about it as a couple in terms of exactly what we plan to do. The boy said that they will come back another time. So on the Monday, we both had the conversation, and it was a list of pros and cons, negatives, positives. And in the end, it was, well, we're not getting on. So it's time we part. That's the long and short of it. So we spoke with the boys individually on the Tuesday. And I think last conversation was Thursday, just gone. So that's the direction we're heading in a nutshell.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So, do you have a timeline?
No. What I suppose would be the best thing is to find out the best time to put it on the market. And I think usually the best time would be springtime. So, yeah, spring, summer, that would be the time.
I see.
Mm.
So, how are you feeling about all of this?
At times, there is inertia where you have so much information, you're stuck, you can't move. Information, emotions, and everything else. Other times, I feel, especially from praying or studying or going through a book I'm going through at the moment on altars, I feel, yes, the Lord is with me, the Lord is in this. And I come out of that, and then my stomach just knots up, which I would imagine would be anxiety. And I feel my stomach is like, oh, I can't cope with this, or my chest. So it is what I would call a roller coaster of emotions. Mm,
I'm sorry. I know that's not easy. Mm.
yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he mentioned something to, not mentioned something, he told his family day before yesterday without telling me he was going to do that. So I said, well, did you give them any caveat? No. So does that mean now they're going to be telling the whole world and its wife? It,
Probably.
so
Yeah.
then there was another discussion around that in terms of age-old problem of not feeling protected or safe. If I get information, I keep it. If they say don't do anything, I keep it. But with him, as soon as he gets information, the first thing he does is blab. He just can't help himself. I said, the least you could, I know you would need to talk, but in the same way, when it happened to your sister, and she said, don't tell the kids or don't tell anyone, or with anything that's happening, he said, don't, I hold your confidence. Sorry, I am confident, but why is it you don't ever consider watching my back and protecting me? So it just highlights and reinforces another area where I don't feel safe
Yeah.
with anything that I share or anything that happens at home. It is never, it never stays at home. It goes outside.
How frustrating.
Yeah. So now it's about always managing situation. I mean, even things coming up for Christmas. We got things that we would be doing as a group. So I'll say, well, we don't have to go. If we do go, is we've only just started discussing. We don't need to be telling them anything. He finds that hard because this is nature to just become BBC World Reporter.
Yeah. Gosh.
So I have to try and manage the best as I can to say, I know you need to talk to people, but there's certain things you can say, and people do respect you, when you set boundaries with information. They might still want to know, but my business is my business. And I have never been one, if I have a conversation with you and I know that you're telling me private things, you don't need to tell me not to tell anyone.
Yeah.
The sheer nature of that conversation to me infers I need to keep it. I think because I'd worked in the police as well, and I know once you've signed the Official Secrets Act, you're governed by that. So he did exactly the same thing, but it doesn't bother him. So it's just two different characters.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. So I have to get used to it, although it's very, very difficult. Yeah, I go out and I know the household things would be just shared with anyone for conversation because he needs to be the center of attention. So it's always hard to manage.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
That's, yeah, super difficult.
yeah.
Well, we
So
will
it is very
continue to
hard.
engage over you for all of this because I know that this probably will be difficult in the coming days. And yeah,
Mm. And Christmas round the corner, that has its own inherent family issues, but also, you know, already the separation is there
yeah,
as to what to do with the boys. One's going to be in Sweden. One is like, well, I can't go to where dad's going with his family and leave you at home on your own. So
no,
it's that kind of thing.
yeah.
It's just God's grace to go through this process. Mm.
Mm. Well, anything in particular you want us to engage over you about for all this?
There's, in a situation like this, there's never one thing in particular. It's like the whole band is playing at the same time.
That's true. That's true.
So it's just God's keeping and protection. God's protection, his keeping power, I think, keeping my thoughts and emotions in check. Yeah.
Okay. Mm. Well, thank you for sharing all that and being vulnerable. Mm.
I don't mind sharing my life with people I can trust, but I don't share my life with any and anyone.
Yeah, that's funny. I thought about talking about one thing today that I don't think we're going to be really talking about, so I'll just mention it briefly. But um, I have a good friend who is significantly older than me, and um, I don't believe you guys know her. So hopefully not. Anyway, no, she's wonderful. Not that way. You would like to know her in this way, but I don't want to embarrass her. Okay. So, um, she has a real problem with getting scammed by guys online. Um, yeah,
No.
yeah, really bad. And she doesn't understand that that's what's happening until it's too late. And um she's a single woman even though she's much older. And so she's always getting scammed by these guys online who say they're in love with her and stuff. And I know, I know. And it's really sad. And she's lost thousands of dollars, by this sort of thing. And um anyway, I'm like her little protector friend. Okay. So every so often when I meet with her, I say, okay, what's the latest? Show me the conversations, because show me his profile. I'm always saying these things. And I'm like, see this? He's a scammer. See this? And trying to point out these things, right? I'm thinking of actually doing like a weekly video for her and other people just for that. Like, here's here's something that shows that it's a red flag, you know. Um which is kind of funny, but
Do it. Do it.
I really
That's a
think
great
I
idea
need
for
to
videos.
because
Do it.
okay,
I
so
know because
I
I was online too.
yeah,
So bad.
I think I really need to. At first I was just going to send it to her and then I was like I actually think people need this because to me it's obvious, but it's just not obvious to a lot of people. And so, anyway, I was meeting with her Saturday. No, Friday. I was meeting with her Friday and going, no, she was getting ready to sell her vehicle and then sell all of the stuff in her house to get a plane ticket to move to Canada with this guy. But it was all a scam. Okay. And thankfully, I asked, oh, why are we going to sell your vehicle? Because she said, can you bring me back to my town if I sell my vehicle? Anyway, so thankfully I was like, why are we doing this? Oh, what? You're moving to Canada? And so I, went over this whole thing with her and I'm like, no, you're not moving to Canada. I'm sorry, but you've never even met this guy. You're not moving there. And I'm telling her, which I know sounds bossy, but like she needs this in her life. She needs someone to say, bad idea. Okay. What's the Lord say about it? You know what I mean? And so anyway, I was talking with her and showed her on the text, like, here, you already gave him your Facebook login information. You gave him your, all this stuff. Okay. Sent him Apple gift cards, another big red flag. And so all these things. And so I'm like, so she realizes after I've shown all the things. So she blocks him. I'm thinking, great, good. And she goes through and blocks like 3 other guys too. And then the next morning, I get a message from another friend of mine who also knows her and said, well, uh, seeing her boobs was not on my bingo card for today. And I'm like, what? Well, this guy who she blocked posted, like, got into her Instagram through Facebook, posted her boobs on her story. Like, because apparently she had that on, he hacked her phone. It wasn't even that she sent that to him. So he hacked into her phone and got everything. Like, all she had pictures of her credit cards and everything so she wouldn't forget them. She had all this different stuff on her phone and he hacked into her phone and got all of this information and is threatening if she doesn't pay this much money, then he's going to ruin her life, and sending it to all of her friends. And she's in ministries and stuff. And so, anyway, she was thankfully not devastated at all. He said, she's going to kill herself from depression if you don't send this $2,000 or whatever. And so I call her up and tell her, and she goes, oh, I know. Another friend of mine said you sent it to her too. And so she's been trying to shut everything down, change passwords, do all that. And she said, I'm not going to be depressed about this. I already repented for that like 3 years ago. It's fine. If he posts that for the whole world to see, then the Lord is going to do something good through it, and it's fine. And she was just like so herself in a good way. You know what I mean? Like, look, I've made mistakes. Everybody knows I made mistakes. If you don't know it, guess you get to see my boobs today. And it was just like, fine. And I thought, man, she is such a good example of what we need to be like. I mean, not in the whole getting scammed by scammers thing, but just this, she was like Paul. Paul in the Bible, where he was like, I've done this, I've done this. He just goes through and names all the crap that he's done. He's like, I'm the worst of the sinners. Everybody knows I'm the worst. And, only the worst can be saved the most. And I just thought it's so cool how she was reacting. And I thought, man, I need to be that person, because, man, I make mistakes all the time. I make all the mistakes, and people think I'm perfect. It's hilarious. Pearl all the time is like, I'm glad to see the real you, so you don't seem so perfect. I'm like, I'm the least perfect of anyone I know. So hopefully you see the real me. But I think that sometimes we hide our difficulties, we hide our sin, if you will, the things that we screw up on, the mistakes we make, the things we say, whatever. We have a tendency to really hide that and not take accountability for it. We might before the Lord, but we don't really think about it. And I am sure I have done that a million times. I am sure I have. And I just saw this situation with her as being so open about her vulnerabilities that she isn't depressed if somebody finds out. That she's just like, hey, I've dealt with this with the Lord. He has redeemed me. It's fine. Yes, I make mistakes. If all of the ministry sees all of this, if they hate me, that's on them. Like, that doesn't have to do with me. And I just thought that was brilliant. So anyway, I thought she was an inspiration for how we should be. That's all.
Definitely.
What, Nidia?
I was like, wow, that's for sure is very inspirational. And it hits home. I have my accounts private. I don't want the whole world, and plus safety. But I'm thinking like at my school, the kids, that's fine if they know, like I'm not threatened necessarily by the kids or for them to find me. I'm very guarded with it comes to the staff, the adults. I feel like maybe because it's happened in the past, not only because I've been hurt really bad, but I feel like now knowing some of the staff, they would be ones to like try to dig to just talk crap on you, to go on social media, to keep an eye out because I've seen it, I've heard them, and I'm like, that's why I don't have anyone on social media at work because I don't want to know what they're up to. I don't want to be judgy either. I don't want to know if they're showing their boobs out there or not. I don't care. Right? You know what I mean? But because I want my private life private, I guess. Because I'm afraid to be judged and for them to just be spying on me or eyeballing me, watching me just to see what they can find to, you know, use against me or whatever. But wow, there's so much freedom in what she's doing, right? Like I could be like, I don't care what they say, I don't care what they think. This is my life and I'm gonna be me, right? But that there's also this thing in the back of my mind. I should be that way, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna be dumb in social media either, right? Like I don't like ever since I started working at the schools, I hardly post anything on Facebook or Instagram. So if you ladies have added me and I've added you because I trust you, like if you go, I don't have posts for like the last 5, 6 years, hardly any of them. Like whereas before I would be very, on it. Plus I don't have time. But there definitely that's like something I need to walk in that freedom that I could care less, right? I could care less. But again, I'm kind of like thinking out loud too, and I'm thinking, oh shoot, but you don't want to, when you're looking for a job here, they'll look at your social media, they'll look to see what kind of person you are. And even though I feel that I'm a person with integrity, I don't have anything bad in my social media, but even the fact of just having like holy stuff there, like posts of God, they might even look at that and be like, oh yeah, no, which maybe that's not the place I want to work for anyways, right? And the Lord will make it away. But it's like, I don't know. I kind of want to keep my things private and it's just me and my family and just us or my friends. Like, I don't want them looking or knowing too much, you know? I don't know. I don't know. But definitely for sure, walking in that freedom sounds very, very appealing.
I think it's good whether you do it on social media or not. It's not really just about social media because she's not trying to put her boobs out there. That her account got hacked. She's just
Yeah.
in this place of, if people are going to judge me, then that's on them. And I think that that is accurate. Like, no matter what people think, because I've had to be the opposite of you, Nidia, because of the ministry that I run. I've had to be very public, even though I don't post a lot. I mean, I have many, many thousands of followers. And if I didn't, people wouldn't get to enjoy all of the engaging heaven stuff. I mean, I wouldn't have tons of people who've been affected by that. And they're affected by the Lord, not by me. They're affected by me only because they follow me and then get to walk in the Lord with that. And so for me, I've had to go, well, I'm going to have to be a public figure, whether I want to be or not, that this is who I am. I never thought I would be this person, but the Lord made me this person, and he's done it for his glory. And so when I have lots of people attack me, which I do, at first it was the hardest thing I ever went through. I mean, it was just devastating. I remember the first person who just made a comment on YouTube about me being a witch doctor. And I was like, how dare they? I didn't even know them. Like, I didn't know who they were, but I'm devastated that they thought I could be in witchcraft when I
That's
was
because
really
of your red
homeschooled.
hair, Christine.
I know. Boy, I should be used to being the standout weirdo my whole life. But I used to get so upset and offended because they didn't see me for who I really am and my character. And now, let me tell you guys this. This is really weird to even talk about. I have thought about not even mentioning this to you guys, which is hilarious. But I was asked to be on a podcast last week or the week before, I don't know. Last week or the week before. And this podcast is a spiritual non-Christian podcast. Okay? So when I say non-Christian, it's not anti-Christian at all. It's just not only Christian is what I should say. So this podcast, they interview people from all different walks of life. many different walks of life, and just help people connect with other people who might be interested in what they're interested in. So this person who hosted the podcast was a speaker at a conference that I just was at, that immortality conference. He was one of the speakers there. Now, listening to him speak, I would have thought he's only Christian. Okay. He might use a little bit different language, like talking about she with Holy Spirit and stuff like that. But, you know, a lot of people believe that Holy Spirit is feminine. So it's not really that weird. So I didn't really know that until I talked to him later. And he said, I have accepted now that I am not a Christian. And he said, I love Yeshua, but I am not a Christian at all. And so when I talked deeper with him about it, I realized actually we share a lot of similarities in our beliefs. And I thought, well, truthfully, I don't like calling myself a Christian either, because I do not fit into the church, even though I 100% follow Yeshua. You know, so it's interesting talking to him about this stuff. And so he enjoyed our conversations so much that he wanted me on his podcast. So he asked me at first, is there anything off limits you don't want to talk about? And I'm like, no, I'm pretty open. You know, I'm open about everything. Well, he asked some hard questions during the podcast, and it was stuff that I don't usually share with the public, about my beliefs and the things that the revelation that the Lord has shown me, and a bunch of stuff that you guys mostly have heard, I think. But a lot of it is really weird, and the church would freak if they heard it. I really don't think the church will listen to his podcast. But you know, a lot of people would freak out. Well, since he posted that podcast, which was just not very long ago, I've had a bunch of people reaching out to me who are really interested in engaging heaven and wanting to know more and flow in what I'm flowing in, which is really encouraging. Like, that's what I want. I want to reach the people who maybe have heard of Yeshua, or maybe have a bunch of church hurt, or, you know, who knows? They're kind of on the sidelines, because those are the people I want to introduce to Yeshua for real. And I want to really see them have crazy, awesome experiences. So I'm starting to get to that place where I'm a little more open with what I believe, because one thing that this guy says is, he says, you know, I used to get in trouble in the church all the time for stuff that I didn't believe and I didn't do. And then he said, so I finally figured I might as well get in trouble for the things I do believe. And I was like, that's good. That's like me. I'm getting all this religious flack for stuff I don't even teach or believe in. And so I might as well just get the flack for the stuff I do believe in, you know? And then I can be like, well, go seek the Lord, do your own thing. This is what I believe, you know? So anyway, I'm kind of getting to that point where I want to walk in the complete truth and not be hiding who I am, what I believe, what the Lord's doing, even if it's really weird, even if it's anti-normal Christian, if you know what I mean. I mean, everyone around me has always been accused of being in a cult. And Nita's like, I know, my kids just did that to me. And so, yeah, her kids just said that she was in a cult. And
Wasn't a shocker on how odd it's become, apparently.
I just
It's
think
sad.
it's funny because in the scriptures, it talks about how we're supposed to be peculiar people. We're supposed to be the weirdos. That's what we're supposed to be. So I don't know how many people I've said, no, I'm a complete weirdo. And they go, oh, how dare you call yourself that? And I'm like, I consider it a compliment. Like, this is a good thing. I'm supposed to be peculiar and weird. That's what the Bible says, right? So why are you coming against the weirdness? Like, we should be embracing the weirdness. That's what I always say, embrace the weirdness. And I always think the one thing that sets me apart from any cult, and if you go, I've studied cults like a ton over my life, okay? Every cult says you can't associate with those who believe differently. Every cult says that. That they say, no, you need to cut off your family, you need to cut off your friends, you need to do this. If they don't believe like you believe, nope, can't have anything to do with them. I am the complete opposite of that. Lorado, go ahead.
I just want to agree with what you say. I was in the church that I thought it's a normal church, but it was a cult church. First thing they try to do is to separate us from our loved ones. They turn us against our families. They want to turn into our family, and we do what we do as a family. So anyone else outside, they don't do what we do. Therefore, we cut them out. They are not family. And it was a cult church. And the Lord removed me from that church as well.
It's amazing what happens. That's one of the telltale signs of a cult. Is if they tell you that you need to disassociate from all of your friends and family, anyone who doesn't believe the same as that group. And so for me, I do the opposite of that. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm like, go do your own thing. It's cool. You don't believe the same as me? That's okay. Seek Yeshua. That's all I say is go do your own thing. If someone says, well, I don't want to be a part of your stuff anymore, I say, okay, be blessed on your journey. That's what I say. I don't say, you have to stay. We're going to go after you if you don't stay. You know what I mean? That's not me. That's not ever been me. I am the freest of free. Like, you do you. If you don't believe the same as me, you're on your own journey. That's what I say. Go ahead, Lorado.
I'm sorry, you keep reminding me of my experience there at the Cow Church. When I left, they threatened me. I had to block all of the church. I had like 500 people that I blocked.
Wow.
Because all of them, they were sending threats that my life is going to be horrible. I will not go anywhere. I will not be successful. I won't have children. They were making a lot of threats, the whole church, even the pastor. At one point, I think we told the pastor that he's not God, that he can speak anything over my life. Therefore, I don't even fear you. Then I blocked the guy. And I was never bothered by them ever since. And they never reached out to me even more further. But the persistence of them trying to convince you to come back, and the Lord will show you. I was receiving dreams while I was there, indicating that I must leave. The moment I left, all those dreams stopped. I started having peace. I started having a job. I started, finding my independence, because that was the reason I was there in the first place, trying to find independence and try to figure out why am I things not opening up? Why am I stuck? So yeah, it is the case as you say it. I have a friend of mine who was very close. She likes to act. He likes to act a little bit prophetic. When I started discovering you guys, and I shared with him that this is the people I met. Do you know there's such a thing that is happening? It was something new for us, and I was excited and sharing with him, and he was like, "Nope, I see." She started being prophetic. She says she sees a woman with cards, like you were saying. Remember the other time, the one that you mentioned with your mom, that before she got saved, she was operating where she was kind of like prophesying. Yes, that one. So she was saying, "No, I sense that spirit of that thing. Leave, run away." And I said to him exactly what you're saying now. I was like, "Oh, okay, friend. No, thank you. Appreciate it. But carry on. I'm going to carry on with this because this is what I've been searching for. I've been searching for God, and I feel like I finally found him, because I even went to the cult church in search of God, in pursuit of God, because I needed answers. So now that I've found him, all my answers were answered automatically, and I'm in peace, and I'm a new character. I'm a new person. A new personality has popped out of me, and all of that, and I'm loving it. For me, there was a confirmation that I'm in the right place here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Well, I think that whatever we do, we need to stay on track with what the Lord is leading us in, even if it doesn't look like everyone else, even if it's really weird, even if it's the things that's weird to us. I know that for me, I shared a few weeks ago about a little bit about my experience with getting divorced, and this has been coming up recently a lot. But one of the hardest things for me was recognizing how much religion was still on me at this point. Because I don't know about you, but I always think I'm not religious. There's nothing religious about me anymore. and and then the Lord's like, um, you know, and this is what he did with me, because I remember when I'm embarrassed even thinking about it now, but I remember when he told me that I needed to get divorced, I argued with him like, but you said you hated divorce. And I was arguing with God. Can you believe that? This is the dumbest thing I've ever even said out loud. I was arguing with God about what he believed. Okay? That's so silly. But I was like, I thought you hated divorce. And so then he started telling me. And then I'm like, but what about this? And I just started going on and on about these different things. And he had to prove to me who he was, because I had constructed an idea of who my God was. Do you know what I mean? And I did that through the teachings of the church. And I didn't know it. I didn't know I did that until that point when he started unraveling it and smashing the box. And I was like, I never knew I was so religious. I mean, I started looking back, and he started showing me how a lot of what I was doing in my marriage was a religious thing. I was serving religion. I was like, well, I better sleep with them, because that's what a good wife does. And it's like I had these things in my mind about like, I should do this to be a good wife. It's all works based. Everything was works based in my marriage. Like, not everything, that's an exaggeration, but a lot of things he showed me was like this religious way of, I'm going to be a good wife if I do this, this, and this. So stupid. But he started showing me all this stuff that I didn't know I was so religious. And when he started showing me these things, I realized I have constructed an idea of who he is, an idea of even what a wife is, an idea of what a husband is. All of these things I have constructed because of what the church has told me. And then beyond that, I then constructed what is someone in ministry. Because when he told me all of this, I assumed that I would have to step out of ministry because, in one of the Timothys, I'm sad to say I don't remember which one, but in one of the Timothy books, okay, it talks about how you have to have your house in order. And I'm like, well, my house is clearly not in order. Everyone's going to look down on me for getting a divorce. Everyone's going to think I'm not worthy of ministry. So I'm sure I have to quit ministry. That is like what I just assumed. So when I started seeking, what in the heck am I going to do with my life to provide for my kids? I was like, first of all, at that point, even though I was in ministry, I was barely getting paid. Like it didn't even cover a part-time income. You know, this was almost entirely volunteer. And my husband was a breadwinner 100%. So, or maybe like 90, 95. And so for me, I'm thinking, I went to school for ministry. I've only done this in my life. What am I good at? Nothing. Like I have no skills. This is what I'm thinking. I have no skills and somehow I'm going to have to provide. So what am I going to do? Wait tables or babysit? Like I have nothing. And so I'm seeking God. Lord, I need you to show me the direction I need to go to provide for my family. And he started showing me how I was supposed to expand my ministry. And I was like, but I thought I was going to have to give up the ministry. And he's like, nope, this is what I want you to do. This is why this whole school started. And I want you to start this school with these classes. And I want you to go speak at conferences. And I want you to blah, blah, blah. And he just started showing me all of this stuff. And I was like shocked because my idea of him was not his idea of him. It wasn't who he really was. Even his idea of what I was supposed to do was not what I thought. And so I guess the whole point for me in this is we can't live our lives according to what other people think that we need to be believing, that we need to be operating in, that we need to be whatever. I mean, if God tells you to go and be a prostitute, okay, I don't think he will, but you know, he asked Hagar to marry a prostitute. So, right? I mean, if anyone came up to me and said, God told me to marry this prostitute, judgmental Christine would probably be like, yeah, no, he didn't. I would probably say that. I'm just going to say, I am not biblically minded in this way. Like, I still have God in a box in some ways. If your son came to you and said, God told me to marry a prostitute, you'd probably be like, no, you're not. That is not God. But that was God, you know? And we have him in such a freaking box that we can't even accept who he truly is. And we're the ones who like don't have a ton of religion. And we got a lot of religion to get rid of, you know? I mean, maybe it's just me. I feel like I am still judgmental. I still think I know better. I still think that this is the way that God would ask or act or be or do. And he is just like, I am who I want to be. If I decide that this is what I want, then you don't get to argue with it. When he said, I remember I told Nidia this morning, but I remember when he told me that I was supposed to get a divorce from Dustin. And I was like, oh no, did I hear you wrong? I thought you told me I was supposed to marry him. I totally thought I had heard him wrong because of my idea of marriage is forever. And he said, no, I told you to marry him. And now I'm telling you, you need to be on separate paths. And this was like mind blowing to me. It's not to most people, but for me, it was just like, wait, what? You know, I'm trying to reconstruct who I think God is. And because I had always been told, I can't divorce him unless he dies. And so then I secretly in my heart wished he would die and then felt guilty for that because I don't actually want him to die, but it's the only way I can get out of this thing. And so, you know, it's so messed up what religion does to us. I mean, can you believe religion wanted us to partner with death? Like, that's what I don't know. I'm glad Some of you are nodding because you're as terrible as me. I don't want you to be terrible, but I'm just saying, I've been there, and I've realized, like, wow, I was so religious to think that death would be better than that. You know, that's how, of course, that's not the Lord. Of course, that's not. But for some reason, we get like this. So, I want us to engage over everything and just see where the Lord leads us. It's already 2:00 and we're into this weird, who knows what subject it is. And freedom to be ourselves and not in religion. Is that what this is? I think. I would like us to engage with the Lord and see if He will uncover some areas that we are hiding, or some areas that have been hidden from us about who He is, even. So, like, to uncover some of this stuff, to be who we are, and to believe who He truly is. Okay.
Can you say that again, Christine?
To uncover who we truly are, who we've been hiding from, and also who He truly is, and what we may have hidden from us in that way. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know if that's exactly what I said, but that's what I mean. Just ask Him to reveal stuff there. Okay. All right, let's do it. You guys want to focus back here? I would appreciate it. Media, I have to tell you, you just popped on and I saw your face. I'm like, I love her so much. So funny. You came on first and I was like, oh, that beautiful face.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love all of you ladies so much too.
Wow, that was the coolest. I don't know if it was Lorado or who did that, but that was the coolest little heart. Did you guys see that? Or is it just on my that was fun. That was a good one. I've never seen it do that before. I just updated my Zoom, and so it might be why.
I have to share. This is so weird. So the minute we started to engage, I saw, okay, so I said, you know, Lord, give me new revelation about you or myself. And immediately I sensed the wailing women that were hired to wail. And I said, excuse me? Is that about me?
That was funny. I'm sorry.
And it was. And so it was a little thrown off. And I was like, So I was kind of wrestling with the Lord about that one. I didn't really get a clear answer, but then I, of course, went to good old Google to look up for a Bible verse. It's like I remembered because the Lord brought it to me about and I thought, well, it can't be in the Bible. This must have been like in history
Well, that was the
where,
Bible.
no, it is the Bible where they hire professional whalers. And I was like, and then I thought, well, I guess I could be. I mean, I'm a crybaby, so, but the professional whalers weren't even crying about the event. They were just good criers. So I'm a little confused about that. Not sure if I'm a little bit offended or what the deal is. Like a fake crier, you know? So it's funny, but I'm still a little wrestling with the Lord to what does that mean?
You better write it down.
I don't know that I want to be a professional whaler,
Who cares what you
but,
want?
but I do have a little thought where some potentially, okay? I don't know if this is from God or just me making up excuses. How these quote unquote professional women whalers were mostly women, but I'm thinking they were like highly sensitive women that really heartfelt felt the pain of others and were just able to express it. And so it did take me to Google, took me to Jeremiah 9:17 through 18. God commanded the prophet Jeremiah to call for the mourning women to come, send for the skillful women to come, let them make haste and raise a wailing over us, that our eyes may run down with tears and our eyelids flow with water, to weep for Israel, like, right, to intercede
Right.
for Israel. And
Yes.
so I feel a little bit better about it, but I'm still kind of like wrestling with it.
That's really what it was. And you know that Jeremiah was known as the weeping prophet. And um, these wailing women were ones who really interceded in the spirit. So that's what it was. It wasn't just that they're really good criers. They would intercede in the spirit in a deeper way than others could. And I know the Lord has done a lot with people around here with raising that back up and letting that actually be a thing, where they will go over land or over covenants or different things and be able to intercede through this wailing and crying that is from the Lord. And it is something that goes deeper into the earth than other things. And so you should really ask about that and think about the Wailing Wall in Israel and all of this. This is a big thing in our history. And as God's chosen people, that we do wail for what is right, you know?
Yeah. I'm definitely for sure I will, because the first thing, like I said, I thought, drama queen? Yeah.
That's funny.
I resonated with you being an intercessor. Um, so naturally speaking, your first thought would be that which you know a drama queen Wayla is to be. But I see the fact that there is like a power within the sound that you make. And that sound, that frequency, that vibration within the sound you make is a supernaturally powerful sound. So it is a bit like, as the intercessor, when you groan, when you cry out, and it's not a cry, it is something that the Lord will build within you and develop within you, is something that will be constructed so that when you give that sound, it will be a divine sound to build up or tear down.
Man, I love that.
Yay, that's cool. Hmm. Awesome. Anyone else get anything?
Karen, speak. Yo,
What did you say?
I'm saying Karen should speak before I go. And
Yeah.
Pearl, I want to be
Karen,
the
we're
last.
waiting for you. Lorata voted you, Karen.
Mine is a bit confusing, so I should go last.
Well, maybe Karen has fallen asleep or gone to the toilet because she's not unmuting.
Okay, so I'll go then.
Okay.
So what I got, I didn't have time to uncover something about myself, but this is what I found from the Lord. He said, I am one, but I am reoccurring. The same, but constantly changing. I love reproducing and creating because I can. And then I started to feel his joy when he says, I love myself. And I went, whoa. It's like, I never thought God thought that about himself. It's really weird to hear him say that about himself. It's like, oh my God. So that took me aback a bit. So when he said, I love myself, then he said, because I am love. I'm fully content, but I long for fulfillment in the things he has made.
Mm, that's cool.
Mhm.
Hmm. That makes a lot of sense to me. I was thinking about, well, one of the things the Lord was showing me was about how I need to be free to deconstruct the Trinity. um, because most people don't know that I don't believe in the Trinity. And I used to, because that's what I was taught in church. But it was developed in the 200s, and it wasn't something that was an original thing in the scriptures. And even though a lot of people will try to prove it through the scriptures, especially in John, um, I don't believe it was a concept that was actually from God. And so, anyway, now that being said, one of the biggest things that was him was that he is one, and he is oneness, all of that. And I think that the the thing that he has shown me in the past about, if you remember, I talked about um, the Council of 11 before the foundations of the earth, and then how they chose to become one, and all of this, right? Um, that's how I believe that he is love, because he is many in one, and he can fully love himself because there are many parts of himself to love. And it's like my family. Okay. I love my family, my kids. We are the Smiths together. Okay. We are the Smiths. This is who we are. We are one family, but we are all very different. And that's why I can love them each very the same. And I can love us all as one. And I love the Smiths. I love us. I do. I love us. I can say that very clearly. I love us. And it doesn't seem weird at all, because who we are is love to other people. And so that's how the Father is, but like way more, you know, and way better than the Smiths is the Father. And so that just resonates with me so much. And it's interesting that I was like, Lord, why are you telling me about the Trinity stuff? I already get it. And he was just like, you're going to have to be more public about it. And that's something I haven't been. Most Christians, as soon as I say I don't believe in the Trinity, they go, you're not a Christian. That simple. Like, it doesn't matter what I believe about Yeshua dying on the cross, all that stuff. Nobody cares about that anymore. They just care if you align in every doctrine that they believe in. And so if I don't believe in the Trinity, that means I'm not a Christian. And so maybe that's why I need to be clear about maybe not being a Christian. Maybe I'm not a Christian. Maybe I'm just a Yeshua follower. Maybe I'm just a Yeshua follower. Maybe I don't align with the creed, the Nicene Creed, Maybe I don't. And it's okay. Anyway, that's what the Lord was kind of showing me about having more freedom with the Trinity, actually.
I wanted to say I agree with that, Christine. Um, when you say that, well, maybe I'm not a Christian, okay? And I say with a little frustration, I guess, because I mean, thankfully, we don't fit inside the box anymore, and I don't want to be shoved and stuffed in the box. And so it's very far and few people, of course, that oh, just a minute. Sorry, just a minute. My son's calling, talking to.
Hmm.
Sorry about that. Very far in between. I probably just mentioned it to somebody, one person. Like, I was telling myself mystical Christian, and then it's like, well, I mean, I'm not real. I'm trying to not be religious Christian. So if that's what you think as Christians being is they have to follow this and this, well, yeah, then that makes me not a Christian. And so it's like I'm starting to be more okay about that, which I think it's a healthy thing. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention was um how I don't know. I'm sorry. I keep getting interruptions. But the real quickly is that scripture, how wide, how deep is your love for me? So when I was wrestling with God a little bit and it was kind of like uncomfortable, I then just saw myself in the depthness of the ocean of how wide and how deep his love was
That's so cool.
for us and for me and just swimming in that freedom, which goes along with what, you guys shared about the love of God. So thank you.
That's so cool. Awesome. Lorado, you want to share?
Oh, okay. Uh, for me, it was like on and off, getting distracted, and it was kind of like I was seeing faces, a man face like a bald head, but with the face of a charcoal, and immediately I kind of like see those. It's like two faces, two people probably, but the other one faded away. The other one was like a bit closer, and I was kind of like reminded that when I engage, I must hold on to Yeshua. I must focus on Yeshua. There's a lot happening in the spirit that it's like there's traffic. So I just need to hold on and focus only on God, on Yeshua. And I was like, okay, I've been taught about this. It's just that I didn't experience it. So it's like I don't have a picture or a location of the knowledge. By seeing that, I now can put a picture to that knowledge that I was given before, or I can put and navigate a location like, yeah, oh yes, I saw, yes. And then I quickly wanted to run away saying, hey, I'm seeing wrong things, probably I'm at the wrong place. And that's when I started switching on and off, switching on and off. And towards the end, when you stopped us, I kind of like had a knowing, I could say that. I don't know if it's normal, but it happens that part of you have a conversation, and it kind of like that part of you comes back to you or update you about the conversation that took place while I was attending something. So I'm thinking probably physically here I'm doing this, or my mind is focused on this, whereas maybe my soul is having a conversation with the Father, or with this my spirit is having the conversation with. So it's like that part of me, that different part of me, were being updated. So I wouldn't know how to describe those different parts. Probably it will be my body and my spirit and my soul. But while you said stop, part of me got an update, like, oh, okay, this is what happened in that conversation. Apparently, you good with I didn't have the word, but I had an understanding. And if I put it into words, it will be somebody who's sitting with somebody, and I kind of like hear them and do something like counseling or a therapist or psychology or something like that, whereby it comes so easy for me to just do it or have that conversation. It comes so easy. I don't even have to think hard, even naturally. And back when I was in school, in school, it was a nightmare for me from day one to the last day of school. So you send a clip on the group from Instagram about the guy with autism. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Yes. He was I could relate with him a lot, because with me at school as well, I was wearing a mask entire time. And they asked us to come and do a sketch and act something. And my group, as a group, they said, no, let's do a session of psychology where the client comes and then we have. And I volunteered to play the psychologist. And when I did it, it was like the mask came off, and that was the only time I can relate with the class with something we were learning about. It was like a mask came off, and I started just discovering this other part of me that is so confident, that is doing so well, that is not thinking hard, that is not having fear of what people are gonna think. All of those things. It was like a mask was putting off. So that part of me was updating me of that experiences, or was updating about the emotions that I got then, and how I've been doing it without knowing. Because I was wondering, what is my career? What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to pursue? Because of being able to do technical things doesn't mean that's my path. And I felt like, no, it's just one thing, another thing that you can do. But with psychology, there's more of a passion with it. I wouldn't call it psychology, but those mental things or emotional things where you engage with the person. And a lot of times it's a flow going through from Yeshua through me to the person. And that's where it becomes amazing for me. And it has been happening, but I was not aware. And it was like it was like this person says, this other part of me, embrace that. look into that. I was feeling kind of like, look into that, embrace it, hold on to that type of a thing. Yeah, it was more of a feeling than words, so it's difficult for me to convert it into it. Forgive me,
You're
guys.
doing a fabulous job because
Is it?
I feel it, and I think that you're right on. So that's very cool.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes. Yay, that's awesome. Wow. Karen, are you there?
She fell asleep folding clothes.
I think she did. Oh, there she is. She's not
There
asleep
she,
folding
she's
clothes.
driving now.
So, Karen, do you want to unmute? Is that even possible for you?
I didn't get a chance to really go where I needed to go and do what I needed to do. But I do feel like I put him in a box where, you know, he can only go so far, or where I will only allow myself to go so far. I think that's really what it is, because of what I've been taught, our traditions. I know more than I allow myself to. I mean, I've experienced so much and I see so much, but just to be able to understand everything that I've seen, I've never been able to put it into words. Or when I tell people what I see, they don't get it. The people around me, they just really don't get it. And so it makes me feel like, okay, Karen, just keep it to yourself. I don't know, just to be able to wrap my head around the things that I've seen and experienced from childhood on to now, just I've always been different, always, never did fit into the box, couldn't make myself fit into the box, tried, still tried today, honestly, caring about what people think about me and what they say. If I were to even try to explain some of the things that I experienced, they would be trying to say something is wrong with me, because they just don't get it. They don't. So I don't quite know where or where to go, what I'm really doing yet. And I'm being just completely honest. Because what I know, most of the people in church will be looking at me real strange. Even with my family, the things that I tell them, the things that I experience through dreams, what I see, what I experience, what I have to pray, what I have to do to cover myself, to keep myself, protected and dealing with some of the stuff, and even praying for them, they don't get it. So I just I'm learning and I'm growing, learning to begin to accept even when God is telling me different things, or when He's showing me stuff, that it really is God. Because most of the time it ends up, revealing itself unless I have prayed it away, engaged, you know what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like, I see things that the enemy is trying to do. And so I see it in advance. I see a lot. And then when I hear sometimes, like, was that today? God was telling me some stuff, and I was like, okay, God. But if I were to tell somebody else other than y'all, probably, then they would be looking at me real strange. I met an angel named Isis today.
Nice.
God assigned Isis to me today. And I was like, ooh, God. I know I heard y'all mention his name, but I was like, wow. Because I mean, he out the blue, that was what God was sharing with me today. And I was like, okay, this is really interesting, really good. But see, a part of me really wondered, okay, God, is that really what's happening? I mean, because it's so, to somebody else, it would be so unbelievable that I would be telling them these things that God is showing me. Yeah.
I totally
So, but
understand.
ISIS was assigned to help me with some things that the enemy has been trying to do. And ISIS was going to help me to undo those things. I don't know. So
That's cool.
to the normal person, they'd be like, that's not God. You just made that up. Because I would have questioned, where did this come from? Did this just come out of my imagination? You understand what I'm saying? But it was really real. I know I heard what he said, and I know I saw it.
Yeah, I understand. I remember uh when I first started engaging, I started encountering angels pretty quickly. Like before I had seen some angels in my life in the spirit realm, but never interacted with them really. And definitely never asked any names. I think I had an idea that all they did was they protected people or they were messenger angels, even though I'd never gotten any messages. And so that's just kind of what I always thought. And I never thought that I could interact with them. I was just like always asking, God, will you send angels to protect or something? But I would never like, hey angel, what's up, I would never do that. And so then when I started engaging and I started being introduced to angels and all of that, everything shifted. And I remember people really close to me in the ministry knew that I saw angels different places and all of that, but I never told a bunch of people that. I did not want to be the weird freak. And so I kept that to myself. And I remember one day my brother-in-law outed me. He didn't know he was outing me because he just is like, oh, Christine's more spiritual. And for me, I'm like, why are you telling people I could see angels? They're going to think I'm crazy. And so he told a bunch of people that I saw these angels there, and I thought everyone was going to shun me. And instead, they're like, oh my gosh, really? You do? And I was like, you mean you believe? And, you know, I really was shocked that people believed me. But people also knew my walk and that I was really serious about my faith walk compared to most people. And so, Karen, you might be surprised that a lot of people admire your relationship with the Lord enough that they may believe you. Not saying you have to out yourself, but I'm just telling you.
Maybe my sister is in the car with me right now, so she just heard me talking about it.
Which sister?
So it's Kim.
Hi.
That's not the one. They say hi to you. It's not Christina.
Mhm.
But Tina will probably believe me if I said it. Maybe Kim does. We'll see. She just said she believed me.
Well, that's good.
So,
That's funny.
so I'm just, I'm really learning through you all just to actually embrace some of the things that I've seen all of my life.
Yeah.
I mean, to hear you all talk about some of these things, and I'm like, I know what that is. I remember that. I experienced that. But to hear somebody else say it, it's so, it makes me feel less of an outcast or a crazy. No, I'm not a. I knew I wasn't crazy. I mean, I know I'm crazy, but a less of a. Yeah, I
I
don't know.
know. Okay, I remember I first went to this Mike Parsons conference and he was talking about all sorts of different things. And I remember he mentioned something about the dance floor in heaven. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm not crazy because I'd experienced this a million times with Yeshua, but I just never told a soul about it because I thought, this is probably my imagination, but I know it's a real experience somehow. So it's very confusing, like even what I think about it myself. And so just hearing one little thing like that was like, whoa, I'm not alone. You mean this is real? And it's so cool when you have these experiences and you go, wow, I have been keeping this to myself for no reason for my whole life. Right?
Feeling like there's nobody you can talk to.
And you know what? There are probably lots and lots of people in the church who have these experiences and never say a word. You know, probably lots of people. I know that's how it was when I used to minister in the United Methodist Church, which is very, very religious. Okay. So, like, there's a lot of religion, but there's also a lot of freedom. It's very confusing kind of situation at this church. But I remember, I don't even know how people knew, but everybody knew that they could come to me and talk about the weird spiritual stuff that they couldn't talk to anyone else about. Now, I never told anybody about that weird stuff, so it's funny. You guys know about it, but back then I kept all that stuff to myself because I was like afraid of being the weirdo. But somehow it's like my spirit said, you can talk to me. And so people would come and tell me about demonic stuff they've experienced where nobody in the rest of the church would even admit that demonic things existed. You know, that was how ultra conservative religious that church was. Okay. So, like, they didn't admit any of spiritual things existed really. And so it was really cool to be able to go, oh, yeah, this is real. This is what's happened, and be able to actually help each other through it. But everyone was doing this by themselves because they thought they were the only person in the whole church who was like that. Even though tons of people in the church would come and talk to me, but nobody would talk to each other because they always thought that they were the only ones. And so, and I've seen you guys in this class do that so much. I mean, I think you're getting more open now, but there was a time when you're like, oh, I cannot talk about any kind of witchcraft that's happening because they will think I'm crazy. And I'm like, dude, every single person's been through this. Like, everybody's been through this stuff, but everybody thinks they're alone. Everybody tells me about it, but nobody will tell anybody else about it because they think they're the weirdos. And I'm like, you're not weird. Everybody is going through the weird stuff. And so I think that we just have this isolation that has happened to us as humans where we think we're alone all the time. It's crazy. Anyway, I am talking for way too long about these things. But this is something I feel like if we can just realize we're all part of the royal family and we are part of this family that experiences all the spiritual things, and we have different experiences and similar experiences, but there's no reason to judge anybody for their weird experiences. I know for me, I have people who go, Christine, this is what I saw in the spirit. Could this be true? And sometimes it's like, oh yeah, that's how it works. And other times it's like, I don't know. I mean, I haven't experienced that, but I believe you. And it's because I recognize that there's a whole lot more that I haven't experienced than I have experienced. And so probably you're experiencing something that's real. To me now, it nothing seems weird. So I always say embrace the weirdness, but once you start embracing the weirdness, nothing seems weird anymore. So then if somebody says, "Oh my gosh, I saw this big angel that had these weird cylinder sort of things on it, and it was flying in this weird way, and it was digging into this ground. Is there anything like that?" I'd be like, probably. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem weird to me, but have I seen anything like it? No. And so I think that once you start doing this, everything becomes kind of imaginable. Like I can imagine that that's probably true, right? And I think the Lord starts expanding us to where we have more capacity, to where now my capacity is huge in the spiritual realm. I have a huge capacity now where I don't feel like there's a ton that's too much for me. I say that. The Lord's probably like, ha 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 ha, but he's like, I'm too much for you. What are you talking about? But I think um overall, my capacity has expanded so much that I can't imagine any human saying anything that would be shocking to me. It probably wouldn't be anymore. And I was one of those people that was like, oh, that sounds demonic. I was that person. I did that all the time. So I was the religious one who was like, I better not read the book of Thomas. That's not in the Bible. I mean, I did all of that. And so, I mean, I feel like I have gone through the horrible religious crap so much in my life that now the freedom is so much better. And I also don't need to judge all the people who are in that religious spot because I was there. And so I know that they can get out of it when the Lord sees fit or when they're open enough. And so even if they're there, I'm not going to say I hate them for being there when I was there too. Pearl, go ahead.
When you mentioned about not being sure about the Trinity,
Huh.
bizarrely, I was watching a clip today by someone called Michael Cuccini. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Nope.
Highly intellectual man, Christian, and he was trying to explain the Trinity in a different way. Perhaps I'll put it in the chat. But these kind of weird things that we see, I think for him, the Lord downloads knowledge
Mm-hmm.
because of the way he's designed. His IQ is just way past anyone else. So his what the Lord downloads to him, it always makes you take a second look, or you need to listen to it again because it's so deep. Having said that, a couple of days ago, I was engaging with the Lord, one of my early morning things, and I saw what looked like, you can get a fire bowl, a sphere, and it has patterns cut out in it, cut out from the metal. So when you see the fire in it, it could be like the world or a globe with the fire in it, and it just gives you this lovely, fiery, like the world on fire type thing. So it was similar to that. But the bottom half was a proper solid bowl, and the top half is where the metal was cut out to create like a design, a pattern. And I sense the Lord saying that that was like his heart, but at the same time, there was not quite his heart. And he showed me within this bowl was like liquid, like a soup, the consistency of soup, but the color of like turmeric. It was, when someone put like not quite glittery stuff, but when something is shimmering, so it's thick, it's shimmering, then I was thinking to myself, maybe he's going to pour something on me or put something over me. And it then switched to, no, he wants me to get into it. So as I was going into it, I distinctly sense him saying he's baptizing me into his love.
Mm.
So he kind of like dipped me. I was fully submerged or immersed. And I got up again and he dipped me again into this thick liquid, which is his love, which is really lovely. But I'm thinking when I came out of it, Lord, does that mean now I'm going to be loving everyone? Do I now have a heart full of love where it doesn't matter how horrible people are, I'm going to be
Why
loving?
does that sound like that was cringy to you? Do I have to be lovey-dovey now?
Oh, wow.
So it is lovely.
Somebody
And
at the one meter.
I'm sorry.
Somebody better call the city.
So from your take, Christine, how would you then I tend to ask the Lord, how do I use this? And I know use is not the right word. How does this happen going forward now? Seeing that I've now been what I call baptized in love, and I'm believing Him. More and more, I am not doubting the things I hear.
Hmm.
So even though I'm not feeling that, and I definitely wouldn't be loving, oh, I shouldn't say that. I was about to say I definitely won't be loving everyone. I shouldn't say that. But you know what I mean? From your experience, how does this work in this world reality and going forward?
I think it matters how much you focus in on uh, the immersion. So, for instance, okay, one of the things the Lord has told me is that I'm the spirit of love. Okay. Does that mean that I am love perfected in the earth? No, unless I focus on being the spirit of love. When I focus on being the spirit of love, it's easy. It's absolutely all the Lord. It's like the Lord just flows right through me like a conduit. And it doesn't matter what people do, it doesn't matter how horrible they are. I love them like they are the cutest baby I've ever seen. And it's that's how the Lord does it with me, is I have to focus on manifesting who I am in the heavens. And so for you, you have to focus on that immersion in his love, to then be love in the earth. And really for you, like I feel like you will focus on kind of releasing that shimmering turmericness. Okay. I don't know how to say that, but it's like releasing what you've been immersed in. And I think that that's how you will do it. But
Oh, I wasn't
that's
thinking that far. It was just purely selfish. I just thought it was just me. That love was just for me. I didn't think about sharing it.
oh yeah, I think you're supposed to be sharing it. And so yeah, I think of course you can um kind of focus in on that experience when you need to experience the love. But I think, what is this class? Heaven emerging. It's about being our heavenly selves and having that emerge into the earth, right? And so when we experience these different things, no matter what it is, all of these things that we've mentioned about who he is and who we are in him, and all of these different things, we should be manifesting those things in the earth. But the way to do it is to focus in on our heavenly experiences. So when I don't feel strong and I feel totally weak, he often will have me focus in on me being a lion and how he's shown me this and how I am with him. And I'm almost like this teenagery lion next to him as the big old awesome lion, and how we will roar together and all of this. And then I start manifesting the strength, the courage, the, you know what I mean, the leader power, all of that. even if I was laying in bed sulking or something, that's just how it works for me. And I think that that's what we need to have these experiences for, is to be able to draw on them and to be able to have that manifest in the earth when we need it. And so, yeah, I know for me, there have been times when I'm like, wow, no one would believe I'm the spirit of love if I'm acting like this. I have thought that before, and I'm right. But it's because I was drawing on the flesh instead of drawing on my eternal image and who he said I am and manifesting him, and that's the whole point. The whole reason that we have our list of identity is so that he will be able to manifest those things through us. And so be sure to write these things down that we experienced today. Write them down. Don't forget about them, because it might be in a week you totally forget. So just write it down. Make sure that when you go back to it, you're like, oh, yeah, totally forgot about turmeric shimmeriness. You might absolutely forget about it, but then oh, yeah, I got to focus on the love. I've got it. I've been feeling lonely. All of a sudden, I know I'm immersed in his love, So it's good. Well, you guys, it's time. I love you very much. I have no idea. What should I call this class? Was there a theme?
Embracing the weirdos.
Yes.
Embracing. Okay, I got it. I'll do embracing the weirdness. Okay, that's what I'll do.
I wanted to say something real quick. Part of me growing up and stepping out in faith after being in church and being in the box for so long, there was a process, but one of the things that I was a pattern for me, that every time I would want to step out into faith to something that was outside of the box, I was terrified and consumed by fear. And it was even obviously spiritually attacked with a lot of nightmares, a lot of stuff that made me believe, oh no, this is not a God, because now I'm being haunted by it, haunted because I, stepped out of here to there. And that now I realized that that was actually just, the demonic preventing me from stepping into more truth. And so then when I tried to explore out even more outside of what I know now or I'm comfortable now, I tend to get some of those attacks. And when I do, I'm like, I'm heading in the right direction, and seek the Lord for protection, obviously, in Joshua. And then ooh, this is exactly what I'm supposed to do. And that's where I'm going to head, even, with more excitement and fierce, I guess, because now I understand how the enemy likes to work so that, to keep us in a certain way, stuck. Yeah.
That's awesome. I feel like that is exactly how it works in my life too. Not just with theology, but heck, if I'm going in the right direction in some mission he's called me to, I get hit the hardest. Like, I know that when I'm getting really attacked, I'm like, this is when it's really important. And I've noticed I started doing this early on when I was teaching the intro classes a long time ago, years ago. I would have days where it's like, I am getting super attacked and I'm thinking there's no way I can do class. And it's like the Lord just said, they're trying to get you not to. And I was okay. And so then I would be adamant. I don't care how bad it is. The show must go on. You know what I mean?
Just show up.
Yeah. Just show up and let him do it. And he always does even better when that
Yes.
happens, because
Yes.
we're leaning so heavily into him.
Yes.
Yeah, so cool. Anyway.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, I got to go. I love you so much. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.